Okay, so Assalamu alaikum. Today we have Cambridge IGCSE Core again, paper 1, multiple choice, May June 2022, paper 1 2. Total time for which is 45 minutes and 40 questions. So question 1, substances change state when the temperature is changed. Which changes of state take place when the temperature of a substance is lowered? So in boiling, we heat, so the temperature is increased. In condensation, the substance changes from gas into liquid. So liquid means it is the temperature is being lowered at from the gas, because when gas particles hit a cold surface they become liquid droplets. So the temperature is decreased. Freezing. In freezing also what happens is we in a refrigerator or in a freezer we decrease the temperature. In melting, we bring the ice cube out of the refrigerator and the ice cube melts. So what happens is we increase the temperature. So in 2 and 3 the temperature is being decreased. So option C is correct. Next, a student measures the time taken for 2 gram of magnesium to dissolve in 50 cm cube of dilute sulfuric acid. Which apparatus is essential to complete the experiment? So stop clock for time, measuring cylinder for volume, okay, thermometer for temperature. We aren't measuring the temperature in any in the reaction. So not correct, and balance for 2 gram of magnesium. So 1, 2 and 4. So the option correct is A. Next, which method is used to separate a mixture of the following liquids? Okay, so they have different boiling points. So this fractional distillation depends on different boiling points. Crystallization has nothing to do with the boiling points and it does not separate different liquids. And all these, in fact, do not separate different liquids. They are used to obtain solids. Next, X and Y are two different elements. Okay, so they have the same number of nucleons despite being two different elements. So if there are two different elements, it means they have different proton numbers, so different number of electrons, different number of protons, and yeah, so so they have the same physical properties. No, we don't have any evidence to suggest that. And they have different proton numbers, so they should be in different groups. This is certain, this is wrong. It is certain that this is wrong because they should have the same masses, because nucleon is what we call mass number, which is the relative mass. So this is definitely wrong. They have the same physical properties. No, if they're different elements, they don't have the same physical property if they have different proton numbers. The atoms have the same number of electrons. Again, it goes against the points that they're two different elements. So they have different proton numbers and different number of neutrons, because different proton number and different number of neutrons can result in the same number of nucleon. Nucleon is basically the sum of protons and neutrons. So if this is different, this has got to be different. If this is not different, then how can we achieve the same number of nucleons with the same neutrons but different protons? It is not possible. For example, if the two elements have what they have the number of neutrons same as 8 and 8, and they have different proton numbers, for example 9 and 10. So if we calculate the nucleon, this will be 17 and this will be 18. Whereas if the number of neutrons is 8 and 9 over here, and the number of protons is 10 and 9 over here, so this will give us the nucleon 18 and this will also give us the nucleon 18. So which means they should have the different number of neutrons as well as the different number of protons. So which is why they should be in different groups of the periodic table. Next, which row identifies an alloy, a pure metal, and a non-metal? So alloy, brass is an alloy, copper is a metal. A pure metal is copper, obviously, not carbon, not brass, not carbon. So only option B is correct just looking at this. Non-metal carbon is a non-metal group 4. Yes. Which statement about ions and ionic bonding is correct? Cesium atoms gain electrons to form negatively charged cesium ions. Cesium is a metal, so metals lose electron. Ionic bonding involves sharing? No, it involves transfer of electrons. Potassium ions and chloride ions have the same number of outer shell electrons. This is true because they are ions, so they should have 8 outer shell electrons. No matter if it doesn't matter if they're ions, if they're anions or cations. Sodium ions have an equal number of protons and electrons. No, ions don't have an equal number of protons and electrons. This is true for only atoms because ions mean that they have changed their number of electrons. So option C is correct. Which dot and cross shows the arrangement of outer shell electrons in a molecule of hydrogen chloride. So chlorine is in group 7, hydrogen is in group 1. It shares one electron, it only has one electron. So hydrogen should be having one electron. So B and D are incorrect because it should only have one electron of its own. And chlorine is in group 7, so on its own it should have 7 electrons originally. So this is incorrect. It only has one electron. So option A is correct, which shows the correct lone pairs of Cl. Over here it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of its own and one from the hydrogen. So hydrogen has two electrons in its outer shell because this is the only shell which is occupied, the first shell which has only one electron. So, which statement explains why graphite can be used as a lubricant? All the atoms in graphite are carbon. It is not a reason. This is true, but it is not the reason. Each carbon atom form 3 bonds. No, carbon forms 1, 2, 3, 4 bonds. Graphite has a macromolecular structure, not a reason again for the lubricant. The layers can slide over each other. Yes, because when it can slide, they can move. So it is a lubricant making the substance in which it is to move easier. A compound of element X has a formula X2O and a relative formula mass of 144. What is element X? So the relative formula mass means it is the sum of the masses of these three atoms. Two atoms of X and one atom of oxygen will be equal to 144. So X will be 144 minus 16, which will be 128. So 128 divided by 2, 2 ones are 2, 64. 64 is the mass of copper. Next, the diagram shows the electrolysis of concentrated HCl and concentrated aqueous sodium chloride using carbon electrodes, at which electrodes is hydrogen produced. So uh, hydrogen is produced at the cathode because it is the cation at the cathode. Cathode is the negative electrode. Negative electrode, so either electrode 2 or electrode 4, hydrogen is produced. So in concentrated HCl, obviously we only have H plus ions of water and H plus ions of the acid. So it is definitely produced on 2, at 2, and not produced on 1 and 3. So as for electrode 4, we have concentrated aqueous sodium chloride. So being concentrated does not affect the products formed because according to the reactivity series, Na is above and H plus is way down below. So H plus discharges and it is given the preference over Na plus. So and the being concentrated does not have an effect on this. However, if we were considering the anions of chloride and hydroxide, so then originally, according to the reactivity series, OH minus is given the preference according to the reactivity series. But because the sodium chloride is concentrated, then we would have given preference to the Cl minus if we were talking about anions, that is. So electrodes 2 and 4 for hydrogen. Which type of reaction occurs when calcium carbonate is heated at a high temperature to produce calcium oxide and carbon dioxide? So combustion is reaction with oxygen. There is no reaction with oxygen over here. Endothermic, no, it is, although it is heated, but it is not described as an endothermic, or maybe it can be. because we don't have a better option. Endothermic is not the best, probably. The best is the thermal decomposition, and decomposition is endothermic basically. So endothermic is what should be correct. Oxidation, no, no change in oxidation of the calcium, and reduction, no, endothermic. Next, which row identifies a chemical change and a physical change? So boiling is a physical change. Burning should it might seem a physical change, but burning means to react with oxygen, so it is a chemical change. Dissolving is again a physical change. Similarly, evaporating is also physical, so only option B is correct. Evaporating is physical, so correct. Burning is chemical. Next, which statement about rate of reaction is correct? Catalysts increase the time for the reaction to be completed. So this basically means that catalysts lower the rate of reaction. Lower the rate, this is not true. Catalysts increase the rate of reaction, they decrease the activation energy and increase the rate of reaction. Next, decreasing particle size increases the rate of reaction. True, because it increases the surface area. So correct. Next, decreasing temperature increases the rate of reaction. No, increasing temperature increases the rate of reaction. Decreasing the temperature decreases the rate of reaction. Rate of reaction decreases as the concentration increases. No, it increases as the concentration increases. Some common household substances are tested with litmus and methyl orange. Which statement is correct? Okay, so litmus should be red in acid, red for acid, and blue for base. Or, yeah, so base. Blue for base, and methyl orange is red for acid and yellow for base. Okay, so bicarbonate of soda is blue, is so litmus is blue, so means basic, and yellow in methyl orange, so basic. So bicarbonate of soda are all acid. This is wrong. Okay, next, milk of magnesia can neutralize washing powder. So this means that milk of magnesia is maybe acidic, and it just means that they both are different. They both are not the same. So milk of magnesia is blue and yellow, which means it is basic again. And washing powder is the same. It is also basic. So two bases cannot react together. So incorrect. For neutralization, acid and base should react. Next, milk of magnesia, washing powder, and vinegar are all bases. As for milk of magnesia and washing powder, we know they are bases. For vinegar, vinegar is red, has red litmus, turns litmus red, and methyl orange also red. So it is not an acid. Oh, so it is an acid. It is not a base. So incorrect. Vinegar can neutralize bicarbonate of soda. We know bicarbonate of soda is basic and vinegar is acidic. So acid and base react in a neutralization reaction. So option D is correct. Next, water is added to anhydrous copper sulfate. You can find this in your notes for qualitative analysis. What happens during the reaction? And similarly, the color of methyl orange also you can find in the notes for qualitative analysis in your syllabus. What happens during the reaction? The copper to sulfate turns blue. This is correct. It does not turn white. It is already white, the anhydrous, and it turns blue. The solution gets colder or hotter. So this is hydration basically. Hydration is an exothermic reaction. So it releases energy. So releasing energy means that reaction mixture would increase in temperature, it would get hotter. So it would not get colder, it would get hotter. Hydration is exothermic. Next, in which equation is carbon both oxidized and reduced? Okay, so carbon should be both oxidized and reduced. So over here carbon is 0, over here it is plus 4. So oxidized, and it has gained an oxygen atom also. So again oxidized. Over here, what happens is carbon dioxide reacts with carbon. So what happens is it has an oxidation state of 0 over here and plus 4 over here. So from 0 it goes to um, okay, leave the 0 for now. If we look at it, it is plus 2 over here because oxygen is minus 2. And here, oxygen, two oxygens are present and one oxygen is minus 2 oxidation state. So two oxygens will be minus 4 oxidation state. To make this 0, it needs to be plus 4. and a neutral atom is always 0. So over here we have one oxygen which is -2 and one carbon to make it 0, so +2. Okay, so if we consider this from 0 to +2, what happens? Oxidation. From 0 to +2, oxidation, and from +4 to +2, -2 has happened. It has reduced by 2, so reduction. So option B is correct. As for this, it was -2, this was +2, so it should be oxidized over here because this is -4, this should be +4. Over here also it is -2 +2, so the same is happening in both cases, only oxidation. So option B is correct. Aqueous solutions containing copper-2 ions can be identified using flame test and by adding aqueous sodium hydroxide. Okay, so this is also notes for use in qualitative analysis. Which row describes what is observed in these tests? Aqueous sodium hydroxide should give us the PPT, it should give us blue precipitate, not green. This is green is given in iron and chromium. So blue is given in copper. And the flame test is obviously blue-green. So you just have to remember this, memorize this. Next, the oxides of two elements X and Y are separately dissolved in water and the pH of each solution is tested. Oxide of X has a pH of solution 1, which means it is acidic oxide. So this means that X is basically non-metal because non-metal oxides are acidic. And this is basic, so this means that Y is metal. So oxide is acidic X, yes. Oxide is basic for Y, yes. The metal is X, the non-metal is Y, no. Reverse. We have already decided our theory over here. So this is correct. Because oxide is acidic of X, yes. Oxide is basic of Y, yes, giving the pH. The metal is the basic one, so Y, and the non-metal is the acidic one, so X. So B is the correct answer. An acid is neutralized by adding an excess of an insoluble solid base. A soluble salt is formed. How is the pure salt obtained from the reaction mixture? So an excess of the insoluble solid base means that even after the reaction is complete, if this was the reaction mixture and the soluble salt is formed and dissolved, the soluble salt dissolved. So what remains still is the insoluble solid base. So we first have to filter the insoluble base. So these two are incorrect. After filtration, we will have a solution. After filtration, we will have a solution over here of the salt dissolved. So what happens first is that we first evaporate the mixture up to the 3/4. When the 3/4 of the mixture has evaporated, and then what happens is we crystallize, we get the crystals, we leave it for some time to get the crystals and filter the crystals. Option D. Some statements about gas G are listed. It is monoatomic, so the only gases which are monoatomic are noble gases, group 8. It is found in clean, dry air. Okay, so clean, dry air, so it is a noble gas, definitely. So, our options we have A and B are noble gases. It is used in lamps, so and lighting. So we have helium. I think that this is removed from your syllabus. You can check again in the end at the end of the syllabus. The uses of noble gases have been removed as far as I remember, but you can confirm. Next, part of the periodic table is shown which element is a metal. Okay, so metals are from group 1 till 3 and transition elements, all metals. So group 3 is C. Option C is correct. The element sodium to argon from the period 3 of the periodic table. Okay, the elements sodium to argon form period 3 of the periodic table. The element sodium to argon form period 3 of the periodic table. Which row describes the trend across period 3 from left to right? Okay, so we just have the skeleton of the periodic table. This is period 3 and this is sodium. Okay, so no, no, no. This is period 3, 1, 2, 3. And this is argon over here. Which row describes the trend? So number of outer shell electrons, it increases because we have metals over here, which and as group number increases, we have the group numbers increasing. So the group number shows the outer shell number of outer shell electrons. So as the group number increases, the number of outer shell electrons increase. So option C and D only. Metallic character. So we have these are metals, and as we move over here from transition elements to group 3 to the non-metals, this is carbon, and we have metallic character, non-metallic character over here. So metallic character is decreasing, not increasing. Next group number is increasing, obviously. So option C is correct. Oh, okay. Wait. For 20, we have the correct option is argon, not helium. Sorry, I read this as I don't know why neon. So helium is used in balloons, maybe. Argon is used in lamps. So A is the correct answer. And for he over here we marked C, and over here also C. Now 23. Some properties of element E are listed. It has a higher density, high melting point. So element E is a metal for sure. So bromine is out. It is a non-metal. We have A, C, and D. All are metals. So the highest melting point of the from these three we have of transition elements. The others are not transition elements, and the highest density is also of transition elements. So this is the best answer. Lithium, sodium, and potassium are elements in group 1 of the periodic table. Chlorine, bromine, iodine are elements in group 7 of the periodic table. Which row identifies the least dense of these elements in each group? So density increases down the group in both group 1 and group 7. So the least dense will be the one which is above. So lithium is above potassium, so lithium is more dense. So C and D are incorrect. And iodine, so lithium is above potassium, so it is less dense. And iodine is below chlorine, and chlorine is above iodine, so chlorine should be less dense. So option A is correct. Iodine is a solid, by the way, so you already know chlorine is a gas. Solid are more dense or denser than gases. Next, the reactions of metals P, Q, and R are shown. What is the order of reactivity of the metals? So, this is a pretty straightforward reaction question. The reaction with water, P has no reaction. So, P should be the lowest in the reactivity series. So, least should be P, and C and D are incorrect. Now, very slow should be the one coming after it. 1, 2, in order of the least reactivity, ascending order. So, very slow should be the second, and Q should be third because it is slow. From this single column you can decide the answer. So and R is vigorous, so it should come as the most reactive. So PSQR. So A is the correct answer. Iron is extracted from hematite in the blast furnace at a temperature of about 1550, which equation shows the main reaction that increases the temperature in the furnace. Okay, so this is a thermal decomposition reaction. It requires energy. It is endothermic, so this decreases the reaction. As for this reaction, we'll look at it in a minute. Over here also, this is reduction, or it is reduction and oxidation both. And in the last, we have reduction only. So the increase in temperature is done by B. This is the most exothermic reaction. This is the exothermic reaction, and it is the main reaction which increases the temperature. Oxidation of carbon is taking place and a gas is produced. Carbon dioxide, a gas is produced. So this is basically what you have to remember, that this is the most exothermic. This is the exothermic reaction. Next, Which diagram represents the arrangement of atoms in an alloy? So alloy contains mixture of different elements and mixture of a metal and another element. So in a metal we have close arrangements of particles, so only B and D can be correct. And we have an alloy, so it should be different, two different substances. So this is denoted by the shading. So option D is correct. This is a single metal. This is not a metal, and this is maybe a gas. Which uses of the metals shown are correct? Aluminum, aircraft bodies. Yes, this is correct. Aluminum is used in aircraft bodies, but stainless steel is not used in car bodies. Aluminum is not used in car bodies, and stainless steel is not used in aircraft bodies. Stainless steel is used in cutlery. Aluminum is used in food containers. So option D is correct. This is basically just theory, a fact. Which row identifies a substance present in clean air and a substance that is a pollutant in the air? So present in clean air, carbon dioxide is present and nitrogen is present. Carbon monoxide is a pollutant, oxides of nitrogen are pollutant. Argon is a noble gas. Noble gases are present 1%. So D is incorrect because argon is not a pollutant. B is correct because sulfur dioxide is a pollutant. Which property of sulfur dioxide explains why it is used as a food preservative? So acidic oxide, no link. Bleach, no link. And pungent smell, again, no link. What does this have to do with being used as a food preservative? It kills bacteria because carries out bacteria carry out the decomposition. So if it kills the bacteria, the food is preserved. Next, fertilizers are used to provide three of the elements needed for plant growth. So they are nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. NPK fertilizers. So calcium, we don't need calcium. We need nitrogen, but we don't need sulfur. But over here, we don't need calcium. We need potassium. Okay. We need nitrogen and phosphorus. Again, sulfur, nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. D is correct. Compound J is an unsaturated carboxylic acid. So unsaturated means it contains a carbon-carbon double bond. And it is a carboxylic acid, so carboxylic acid has a functional group like this. So these bonds are present. So it contains a C double bond, it contains a C oxygen double bond, and it contains a OH2. So 32A. Next, petroleum is separated into useful fractions by fractional distillation. Which fraction is used as a fuel for jet aeroplanes? So you just have to remember the different uses for the different fractions, which is written in your syllabus. So this is kerosene. 33D. Naphtha is for chemical industry, fuel, and similarly gas oil and fuel oil is used as a fuel. What are the products when limestone is heated strongly? So I think this was present in another question as well. Calcium carbonate products, what are they doing? They're giving the answers themselves. This was given over here also. And another question also, I guess. So the answer is calcium carbonate decomposes to produce calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. So you should be remembering this reaction. This is the correct answer, 34C. 35, ethene reacts with substance X to form ethanol. Okay, so addition of steam to ethene. So what happens is this double bond is broken and the OH from the water comes to join here and the H comes over here. So steam is the correct answer. What is the equation for the complete combustion of methane? So we have to check the balancing and the correct products and the correct reactant. So methane is one carbon, CH4, CnH2n plus 2 is the formula. is the general formula. So it should be CH4 for one carbon. So option D is incorrect. Next, we have products carbon dioxide and water in the complete combustion. So option B is incorrect. And so now as we have shortlisted our options, we can just make the equation, or we could do this first hand. CH4 plus O2 will produce carbon dioxide and water, the same products always. So we have one carbon over here, so one carbon over here will suffice. We have four hydrogens over here, so we should have four hydrogens over here by adding a 2. 2 twos are 4. So um, now we have two oxygens over here and two more oxygens, four oxygens, so we should have add a 2 over here, so four oxygens. So if we look at the options, this does not have oxygens balance. This is two oxygens and two oxygens, so four total, and four twos are eight oxygens, so not correct. As for C, this is correct. This is what we did. So yes. So C is the correct answer. Question 37. Alkenes can be produced by cracking large hydrocarbon molecules to form smaller hydrocarbon molecules. Which equations represent possible reactions when tetradecane is cracked? Okay, so when cracking happens, the overall number of carbons and number of hydrogens should remain same. If there are 30 hydrogens over this side, there should be 30 over this side. So if we look at 1, the first statement, we have 30 hydrogens, so there should be 6, 6, 12, 12 plus 8, 20, 20 plus 10, 30. So 30 hydrogens are present, and 2, 5, 9, 14. 14 carbons are present. So 1 is correct. So maybe we should directly see the third and fourth one, because if this is wrong, then we'll look at the second, or maybe just go with the sequence. Two hydrogens, four hydrogens, 6, 6, 6, 12, 12, 8, 20, 30 again. Carbon also 2, 3, 5, 9, 14 again. 2 and 4 threes are 12. So, okay, so 12 carbons over this side and 2 carbons over this side, so 14 carbons, good. 6 hydrogens and 4 6 are 24, again 30 hydrogens, so correct. Let's look at 4, 14 carbons, so 2 3 5 and 9 14 carbons, correct. As for hydrogens, we have 6 8 14 and 18, so this gives us 32 hydrogens, which is not correct. So 1, 2, and 3, option C is correct. As for 38, the products formed by burning substance J are passed through the apparatus shown. Products of burning J, and white precipitate is forming in lime water. So when J is burned, okay, so burning J, and what happens is the products are here, and then it goes over here. So what happens is we have a white precipitate in lime water. So this is either due to carbon dioxide or due to the, let's look at the question again. The products formed by burning substance J are passed through the apparatus shown. Okay, so this is carbon dioxide, and when we burn J, this is the product which has gone over here, and it is asking about J. What is J? So which substance, when it is burned, produces carbon dioxide? This is the question. Carbon monoxide plus burning or plus oxygen, it gives us carbon dioxide maybe. So we can balance it later. This is not the correct. No, this is not the correct answer. It does not produce carbon dioxide. Oh, yes, we have ethanol over here, so definitely ethanol is the answer. Because organic compounds, I told you earlier, whenever they react, C2H5OH, this is ethanol. So when it reacts with oxygen, it forms carbon dioxide and water. Even if this was carbon dioxide, we do not have water in this. No H2O over here. So option B is correct. As for hydrogen, not correct. As for sulfur, sulfur dioxide is produced, which is not correct either, because we want water and carbon dioxide. Which statements about ethanoic acid are correct? Aqueous ethanoic acid reacts with magnesium to form magnesium ethanoate. So this is correct. Let me show you the reaction. The reaction. Carbon dioxide is formed when aqueous ethanoic acid reacts with sodium carbonate. Yes. Acid plus carbonate. We get salt plus water plus carbon dioxide. So this is definitely correct. As for one, we have CH3COOH, ethanoic acid plus magnesium. So this produces CH3COO and magnesium. So this is basically magnesium ethanoate plus hydrogen. So the reaction is metal plus acid, which produces hydrogen plus salt. So magnesium ethanoate is the salt. So both 1 and 2 are correct. Hydrogen is formed when aqueous ethanoic acid reacts with sodium hydroxide. No. The acid-base reaction takes place, and what is formed? Water and salt. Ethanoic acid turns red litmus paper blue. This is true for base, not for acid. So 3 and 4 are wrong. A is correct. Last question, which statement about polymerization is correct? Large monomer molecules join to form small polymer molecules. This is as silly as it sounds. Small monomer molecules join to form large polymer molecules. So this is also incorrect. Small polymer, no, small monomer join to form large polymer. Even if you know the really basic things, then even then you can solve this. Okay, so we have completed the paper. Thank you and Jazakallah khairan.